So what happened in the Lake Nyagos from what you read when you did the reading guide?
Oh, the monoxide levels were
Like 1,700 people. So where did it explode from? Where did it come from?
It was the
Okay, so it was bottom of that lake. But how did it kill those people?
First, it suffocated most people. Heavier than air, so it sits on top of it. It's below the air, so no oxygen can get through. So they were sucking the pure CO2.
Okay. So they suffocated, but what happened probably before they died? You guys know biology?
Well, was there a big wave too? Was there an earthquake?
Yeah, so that's all the geology stuff. Tell me what happened to them before they died. You guys know how carbon dioxide affects the brain? It shuts down your breathing because it's like.
Because you think that right. Does that mean that it thinks that you produced enough carbon dioxide so it stops producing
There's
it?
two ways.
So you can't breathe.
Or there's two ways. So like people who hyperventilate, they breathe into the bag. Why are they doing that? Why are they breathing back in the same air they breathed out? They don't have enough carbon dioxide. There's a sensor in your brain that tells your body when you're lacking carbon dioxide, because you actually need a little bit in your blood, because you need to keep your blood pH at a certain pH. It's the bicarbonate, carbonate, carbonic acid buffer system in your blood. We learned about that way back. So you need that. But then if you have too much, like more than 15% of carbon dioxide in your blood, your brain will also say, oh no, we need to stop, something's wrong. And it made them all pass out. So then they passed out. If they passed out and their body was kind of, like your body kind of just shuts down and you can actually be revived, right? So your brain can actually stop functioning and be revived. And some of them were revived and some of them were not. So that's why they died, because they were not able to be revived because of their shutdown of their system. So why did this occur? Some sort of ecological or geological event, volcano, earthquake, they're not quite sure on everything that happened. But the real deal is the fact that carbon dioxide is more dense, so it sinks, so it eliminated all other possibilities of breathing. What they've done now to kind of counteract this is this happens like every 2 to 5 years still. Just geological events that happen, it just happens. Tectonic plates shifting and stuff like that. So what they've done is they put a big straw in the lake so it can burp every now and then and be fine. So they've done that, and then they also put CO2 sensors around the lake that helps with sensing it. So if the sensors go off, there's a big alarm, and then everybody goes to higher ground. It just eliminates chances of those people being in danger. But it still happens. It's no way to fix those kind of geological events, I guess. So the AP exam has a lot of like random questions on biology, ecology, or like environmental impact of science. So you would explain all of the science, all the chemistry behind this, but they would probably phrase this in a question like, I don't know, do you guys remember that one question on one of your electrochem FRQs that was like, why is hydrogen fuel cells, why are they better than normal fossil fuel combustion? And the normal fossil fuel combustion creates what as a product? Greenhouse gas like what? CO2. Whereas hydrogen cells, they only create water vapor as a gas. So they talk about some of the impact on the environment through chemistry. So that's why I want to expose you to some of these things first. Thermal pollution we talked about back when we talked about the desalination plants. Remember what they did? Right, but do you remember what were we talking about when we talked about desalination? Reverse osmosis. So they could phrase this in a collective property question. We did osmotic pressure, talking about reverse osmosis as like the final part of that FRQ. So thermal pollution came from the fact that the wastewater from, I'll do nuclear power in a second, from the reverse osmosis process, one, they put that hot water back in an area where they shouldn't, or they put the brine back. What's brine? So like high content salt water, right? So brine shrimp, AP Bio does brine shrimp experiments. Aren't they so cute, those little baby things? Yeah. Okay, so brine shrimp thrive in those types of environments, but not everything does. It's called halo tolerant. What does halo mean again? Not halo, like I'm an angel. Halo. It means it has a halogen in it, which salts have halogens in it commonly. So halo tolerant means that you can survive in a salty environment. So So things like brine shrimp can survive, but other things cannot. What do you think thermal pollution does to oceanic gases or gases in water?
Makes them leave, right? Like
Why?
oxygen, it makes it leave out because when temperatures increase, gases are less soluble, so they'll go out of solution, and then the animals can't breathe it because there's no oxygen in
Okay,
it.
so why did they go out of solution though? Tell me.
Because the
before
kinetic energy of the particles increase and leave.
Right.
the gas.
So the kinetic energy of the gas particles are so high that that surface of the water or solution or whatever that's holding them in, the gases have so much kinetic energy they can overcome the attractions at the surface. So they overcome surface tension essentially, which is just IMFs. So leaving gas or losing that dissolved oxygen will affect your aquatic life because how do fish get their oxygen? Through their gills. How do the gills work? Say it again. So how do the gills work though? How do they filter it? What process? Not osmosis. Water is coming in and going out. Water is actually just a medium of flow. Diffusion. Okay, gases are diffusing from high concentrated water to low concentrated blood vessels within the gills. Okay, so I got a biology lesson here. I love biology. So if you have the less dissolved oxygen, there's less of a concentration gradient. So less of concentration gradient, less oxygen getting into the blood of the fish or the gills of the fish in general. So then you see all the fish swimming to the top of the lake, and it's a free fishing day. Okay, so that's a bad thing. That's not a good thing. Sorry, I'm joking about that. But thermal pollution does have a lot of aquatic life impact. Yeah. Denatures enzymes. Yeah. So every enzyme likes to be at special temperature and special pH. So if you disrupt the temperature one way or the other, it could denature the enzyme. Enzymes run everything in the body, so that would disrupt the biochemistry of it, or a different pH. Acidification of oceans. What's the job of the ocean in terms of greenhouse gases? Hey, what? Okay, it can reflect some of the thermal energy back up. Greenhouse gases, though. Okay, it stores greenhouse gases. We love the ocean because it stores all that carbon dioxide for us. But what does carbon dioxide make when it goes in the water? Carbonic acid. What was your pH?
Lower it.
Lower, way lower pH. And then all the aquatic life cannot live or function at that low pH. Then we have biological impacts because the food chain is like washed out. It's gone. There's some disruption causes a big change. So we use the ocean for a lot of stuff, but then we are also poisoning it with all the carbon dioxide that we are using it to store. So that's called acidification or oceanic acidification. Another thing with pollution and general environmental impact, sulfur, where does sulfur come from? What do you think I'm saying industrial waste for? Coal processing plants put sulfur into the air. The smokestacks have a special filter on it. I could not think of this in first period. Does anybody know what it's called? That captures the toxins, air pollution? No. They're called scrubbers. Yeah? Anybody take apes? Scrubbers. They're called scrubbers, and they scrub the air pollution prior to exiting the plant because that's going to be beneficial to the air, the environmental atmospheric composition. Regardless, sulfur does get out. Sulfur combines with oxygen in the air to make sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is a gas, like carbon dioxide is floating around. It can combine with water vapor in the air. It combines with water vapor in the air, H2SO3, sulfurous acid. That sulfurous acid gets embedded into rain particles within the clouds, rains it down. What does it do? Acid rain, but what's it do? Okay, so it causes erosion. Okay, that's one impact.
It's bad to drink.
Lowers the pH of the water, bad to drink. Something else?
It kills wildlife.
How does it kill plants? Their soil pH, that's what I was looking for. So this affects not only erosion, but soil pH. Everything likes to live in a specific soil pH environment. Some plants live in really acidic environments, some plants live in very basic environments. So we disrupt wildlife and growth and vegetation, which impacts the food chain, right? Algal blooms, who's ever heard of eutrophication? Or algal blooms? Is that famous? Okay, so Do you guys want to know where the dead zone is?
Like the Dead Sea?
It's not the Dead Sea, it's the dead zone.
Where nothing grows.
Do you know where it is?
Where in the ocean?
Oh, you guys are fucking
Bottom of the Dead Sea.
Okay, here's Maine, Florida, Texas, California, Canada, Alaska. Okay.
Wow. Nothing like the United States.
All right, thank you. Bye. Okay, so the dead zone is actually down here in the Gulf of Mexico. Okay, down here. There's no life that lives there. Why? No, not because of oil spills. That's not as common as you think.
Wait, is this have something to do with the plates?
No.
Okay.
No, almost there. Okay. So there's nothing that lives there because there's no oxygen there. Okay? There's no oxygen there because bacteria use up the oxygen. Aerobic bacteria. Okay? Aerobic bacteria, their job is to decompose crap. They need to get rid of all the stuff so stuff can live there. So aerobic bacteria use up all the oxygen there to get rid of the waste, but then they're using up all the oxygen. So what are the only things that could live there if there was anything? Anaerobic bacteria. There's not really any anaerobic other species, just bacteria. Okay? So how does the stuff that they're decomposing get there? It's from algae. Algae, you know those big green mats? They can grow like this big. They're called algal blooms. They're huge. Okay? So the algae get there, they die, bacteria come to decompose them. Well, how did the algae get there? Algae, they thrive in really nitrogen and phosphorus, a lot of other chemicals. Algae thrive when they have a lot of nutrients to grow on. Okay, so like you've probably seen like lakes and fish tanks and goldfish tanks and stuff like that. Lots of algae. So how do all those nutrients get there? From what? What kind of runoff? From what though? Farmland, thank you. This is the bottom of the Mississippi Ocean, or Mississippi River, in the ocean. So the Mississippi River runs all the way through all that farmland and all those fields where all those farmers, you know, the breadbasket of America, they have all their fertilizers that get into the water supply, and it runs down the Mississippi River. It deposits at the bottom in the Gulf. So that you're like, great, look at all those nutrients. Lots of life will grow there for about just a very short period of time. It happens. Okay, all the nutrients get used up by the algae. The algae are thriving. They're like, yay, fertilizers. So then they grow. They're very short-lived. They die. Who comes in?
The bacteria.
Bacteria. What kind of bacteria?
Aerobic.
Aerobic. So bacteria in there eat, and they're decomposing all that waste. And then now they're just that a whole area is lacking oxygen. Then nothing else can live there. What happens is that's actually a migration pathway of whales. Whales get stuck there and die. I know. It's sad.
Put a sign that says don't go.
What? People can live, yeah, because you're not like you can swim there, but you're not taking in the oxygen. You don't need to live underwater. Aquatic organisms don't live there. The water can be. It's a cycle though. It's like dirty, clean, dirty, clean, dirty, clean. Yeah.
How do the whales die if they breathe through their little...
It's just there's probably lack of food, lack of everything there. They don't have krill. They have nothing. Maybe phytoplankton if they're at the top of
I was about to
the
say,
surface,
they can
but
still breathe.
yeah, but they still die there because there's nothing. It's like a desert in the ocean. But regardless, it's horrible
Probably not go there
for
anymore.
like food industries, like fishing. They don't thrive well there at all either. Yeah. Oh, I can show you a picture. I have a video. I'll show you in the class. I don't have any dead whales. No.
No dead.
Okay. Another thing about biology and how they're using that in the chemistry field is bioindicator. What's an indicator do? It tells you something, right? It's an indicator. It's telling you something about something. So back out West Virginia, I told you guys about the coal plant that released that toxin into their little main river there, and then nobody could drink any water. So they came to this discovery because people were going into the ER with like burns and irritations and like eye problems and stuff like that because of the water coming in contact with their body. Wouldn't there be something better than having the consequence occur first? Yeah, right? So you can actually use indicators in like that river basin, that's whatever there. But what they do is they put this green fluorescent protein, GFP. It's a protein that they get from jellyfish. They take it out of the jellyfish. They replicate it a lot. They put that gene into another organism. restrictions on, there's a bunch of stuff there. But they bioengineer these other organisms to contain that GFP protein, that green fluorescent protein. The only time that protein is supposed to glow is when that organism is in the presence of some toxin that you've programmed the protein to glow to. So in normal everyday life, the fish are swimming, they have this protein in it, they're just normal looking fish. When the fish come in contact with the toxin, they glow. So then whoever's there in that surveying that area go, oh, the fish are glowing, there's a toxin, nobody's drinking water. Wouldn't that be cool? They have done that. The only problem is they can't quite get the fish to stop glowing. So they glow like all the time, which is cool. They're the PetSmart glowfish. You seen glowfish? Maybe? They're like pink, neon,
Oh,
yellow,
yeah,
neon. You can find glowfish. They glow in the dark.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So now they've taken advantage of this to a consumer standpoint because all the little kids are like, yeah, glowfish. But they're trying to revamp this protein so it only glows in the presence of the toxins, but they've triggered it to glow in.
So they make the fish
Huh?
The
Yeah.
fish aren't actually naturally.
No, they're genetically engineered fish.
So they're
So that's kind of
Huh?
annoying.
So it's like guinea pig fish, and you throw them in the water, and it's like, oh, are they gonna die? Yeah.
Hopefully they won't die, but they've actually had, back in like 2007, 2005, they had a big glow frenzy, and they made everything glow. Cats glow, dogs glow, fish glow, pigs glow, mice glow. They made everything
Is that
glow.
legal?
I probably do. When I talk biotechnology,
We
we
learned
talk about this
something
a lot.
about that.
So,
That'd be kind of awesome.
Like the cat.
the glow cats. Have you guys seen like Snoopy or Snuffy? Snuffy the clone dog? No? Okay, I bet you know Dolly.
Cheese.
Dolly. Okay.
Heck, it's
You guys know Dolly the clone sheep?
Did they make the
You
sheep
know-
glow? I
No, they didn't
forgot.
make Dolly. They did not make Dolly glow. Do you know where Dolly got her name?
Oh,
Dolly Parton.
Dolly Parton.
Really?
You wanna know why?
Okay.
Because they cloned Dolly from a breast cell.
I see.
From Dolly Parton?
Uh, Not from Dolly Parton, because that would be a human, not a sheep. It was just named after. It was in memory of Dolly Parton. Okay, we'll do biotechnology later. I love biotechnology so much.
I didn't hear about this.
Okay, back with me. Salinity. We all know what salinity means. I'm not
Salty.
salty. Thank you.
My life.
That's relevant, right? Okay. Did you guys know? This is not Asia. This is Russia.
Wow.
But isn't this Asia?
Yeah.
The whole thing is.
It's Asia.
Well, I just thought it was confusing because I was like, I thought that was Russia.
It's Asia.
We had this entire.
It's just
Yeah.
labeling the whole.
Russia's
I know.
kind of
I was
like
very confused
big
first
chunk.
period. But these are all the desalination plants in America, mainly on the coastline. We've got Florida, Mexico, California, Cuba, Chile, UK, and I was like, Russia, Asia? I don't know why that's in the middle of Russia, but there's apparently a desalination plant there. But it's mainly on coastline. You can see within here in the Mediterranean area, there's a lot too. All right, next thing. What is this called? Oh,
I
what is
can
that?
read
You're
it.
reading it. You're not telling me the name of it.
I'm trying to tell you, but I can't
Amino
see what it
group.
says.
It's an amine group. Amine group, or an amide group. You can call it either one. NH2. Okay, sorry, I was trying to show you just that box there. And then this is called a carboxylic acid. What's the name of this whole thing? A monomer of a protein. Come on, biology.
Acid.
Amino acid. Guess what's called an amino acid?
What's it?
Amino acid. Now you know.
OMG.
Right? So this amino acid is called this because it has an amine functional group and a carboxylic acid functional group. Okay? So these things can come together to build a protein. What are the bonds they form when the amino acids come together? Peptide bonds. Peptide bonds build a large peptide, which we call a polypeptide, aka protein. Okay, so two of these can come together to form a polypeptide, also called a protein. How do they come together? Two different ways. I'll show you how they come together, and then I'll show you how they break apart. Can I scroll down a little bit? Okay. This is one amino acid. This is amino acid. This is amino acid number 2. You see they have an OH group and an H group there. That can come together to make water, yes? If they come together to make water, water gets extracted off. So when you pull water off of something, it's called condensation. You're taking water out of something. So when these two amino acids come together, They get rid of that water, it becomes a byproduct, which you see here, and that's the building process. That is the process, condensation reactions are the process of building proteins from their individual monomers. Does that just, I know the structure you don't have to know, but does that part right there make sense? Okay, but what if you were trying to deconstruct a protein? You had to break it apart. You're going to add water back, but water is not actually doing something, it's now breaking something apart called hydrolysis. So water's job is to get and interfere in between this bigger protein now and to break it back apart into the two that it came from. It's called hydrolysis because it's breaking. Lysis means break. Cool? Little biochem today. All right, so proteins, monomers, polymers, polypeptides, hydrolysis, and condensation reactions. But now once you have a protein, tell me how does this big, huge protein actually attract to itself, and how does it form these shapes that proteins have? Did you know every enzyme has its own special active site, it's got its own special shape that's specific to other things it's going to be reacting with, yes? Remember like active site and substrate 2 years ago? Okay, cool. So if it has a specific shape, well, it had to get that because of its biochemical interactions it has with itself. How does it interact with itself? IMFs, hydrogen bonding, which you can actually see here. There's a carboxylic acid group and the amine NH group. Remember, H bonds are fond. So this actually, that O doesn't really hydrogen bond well, but this NH part attracts to the O will, and you can see that happening over and over again. This is a helix, so it's going to take on like a curl pattern, and then I don't know if I have a beta. No, I don't. Okay, that's cool. So anyway, these things come together to make sheets and helices and all these other shapes, and then they make a tertiary structure or quaternary structure. I think this is a tertiary. This might be quaternary. It comes together into a bigger shape that then we use in our real chemical reactions within our body, our enzymes. So the primary structure is just the actual chain of amino acids. It's like, I don't know. I'm trying to remember all my amino acids. Glutamine, tyrosine. Yeah. Okay. And then as they come together more, there's like 20, I was only 2. As they come together more, they make the bigger shapes, and then even more, they make the more complicated shapes, which is what our enzymes actually are. Okay? Those are just mainly what you need to know is they come together via IMFs. Last thing, how does DNA get held together? Hydrogen bonding, thank you. Because it has to be able to easily be broken apart, yet strong enough to maintain its general double helices shape. Cool?
Wait, is it with nitrogens though?
There's 2 parts. The adenine and thymine, guanine, cytosine, they're pyrimidines and purines, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is the pyrimidine, it's a more complicated one. This is the purine. They have, I don't remember what their structure is. I think it might be nitrogen, it might be oxygen, it might be hydrogen.
I don't know, I thought.
So, but these other ones, the phosphate groups on the outside, that backbone, and they're held together by covalent bonding. Okay, that's it. Work on multiple choice, or you're up for Q's, check. And then I'll check multiple choice at the end of class.
Big.
Oh.